body's in pretty good shape. That's the main reason I got it. I mean, overall, there is really no rust. I mean, if you even look at these wheel wells here, just the overall body, man, she looks pretty good. But this is probably the main body damage, is just the front bumper's pretty banged up, and this header panel right here is cracked, but you know, we can fix that. All right, so take a good look at this thing, because this is the last time we're gonna see it in this condition. Just gonna get a full makeover and transformation, so she get a good look, because it's time to make her pretty. Alright guys, so we jumped into prepping the tailgate for paint. So this thing right here obviously is the old Ranger, the old Navy Ranger's tailgate, although at one point it was maroon. So I actually got this from a maroon Ranger, painted at the Navy to match. Prepped it, primered it, and then based and cleared it. So, you know, it came out pretty good for the most part, but we're going to go ahead and continue prepping this because we're going to get this one painted for the new truck. So it's going to be getting painted red this time. So as you can see, we already took off about half. It's back to the base maroon here. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the navy and the primer off of this other side, and then we can start getting this thing prepped up for paint, guys. Alright guys, the whole tailgate is taken down. You can see that original color, that original maroon red. So this was all taken off with 80 grit. I'm going to go over it lightly real quick with some 180, and then I'm going to red Scotch-Brite it, and then we're going to start prepping it and priming it. So this is coming along nicely. We got everything off. Now it's just time to go through a few more motions, and we're going to get this thing ready for paint, guys. Alright, here she is, guys. She's all prepped up. Wet right now for my rinse off, but it's ready for primer, paint. I'm going to do a little body work to it as well. We do have some little dents like right here. There's one. There's a couple other little ones I got to find throughout it, but overall, all the old paint's off the front and back. Everything's cleaned up, prepped, and it's ready to be sprayed. Alright, so I did some things without you guys. Hopefully you aren't too upset, but we didn't do anything too crazy. We just hit a few spots with Bondo real quick. Did do a little bit of body work on a few spots across the tailgate, and I did go ahead and throw one quick coat of primer down, and then I just sanded it back. So as you can see right now, she's just about ready for a full coat of primer. Nothing really changed with the back here, so we're just going to completely primer this thing. So I'm gonna go ahead, wipe her down, clean her up. We have our makeshift townhouse paint booth here, so this is how we're gonna go ahead and get this done real quick, and then she'll be ready for paint. So we got this thing all wiped down here, so we're going to be using some Transtar here. This is some pretty good primer. It's in a can. You actually can get a good primer coat from Rattle Can, believe it or not. So we're going to go ahead, utilize that, and then from here we're just going to be dropping this off primered at the paint shop to get based and cleared. So let's go ahead, start primering this thing, guys. Right, here she is. Not too bad. We're gonna go over it one more time lightly with some sandpaper, some real light sandpaper, but let's see. Got her all painted. Doesn't look too bad, guys. So next move here is we're gonna go ahead, drop this thing off at paint. It's gonna get base and cleared, and then from there should be ready for the range. All right, time for some Red Ranger work. So we got the whole tailgate primed up, ready for paint. Now the next thing that's going to get painted is the header panel. I did buy a new one, although I'm on the fence about maybe just repairing this one and seeing if we can get this all put back together and make it salvageable. Now I want to take this off. We're going to assess it. Looks good on this side. Might be worth keeping the OEM one, and I could throw on the cheap Rock Auto one for now until I get this one painted. But we're going to go ahead and start taking this front end apart, and we're going to start test fitting and see what we want to do here, guys. A little bit dangerous or not, guys? Looks like we're broken in here, guys. Good chance anyway. But let's keep taking this off. We'll see where we're at. So here we are, guys. Got this whole front header panel, whole front end off. Let's come over here to this damaged side. So she's pretty chewed up, definitely off. We're gonna mess around a bit, see what might be making this off in comparison to the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead and start messing around with that and see if we can get this thing lined up. All right, so we're debating on if we should use this old header panel here and just restore it, or go ahead and use this new plastic one that I got from Rock Auto, which is cheap, but I've used it before and it works. The thing is with the old one here, we got some cracking in the fiberglass and the mount point here. You can see that, but yeah, she's bad. So honestly, I don't feel like messing with that. I'd rather go ahead and try to get this one mocked up. So let's go ahead and see how we can get this one to fit, and then we can take it from there. All right, guys, so I just quick pop this on. The only thing that's holding in is just these studs pressed in to the fender here. Now, on this side, it looks a lot better. See, we're almost flush there. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten down this fender screw though and see where we're at. I'll probably throw a zip tie in the middle just to hold this thing in place, but let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing to fit, and then from there we'll know if, you know, we need to pull out the fender anymore or do any more repair work to get that even right here. So let's go ahead and see where we're at, guys. I think if I hold this whole fender bracket and everything in place and shoot this in, I can get it right. Yeah, honestly, this looks a lot better. Do a hair more pulling here, but look at that, guys. That was just a quick mock fit real quick. This is back tight. Definitely did a little bit of banging and pulling. This was definitely hit. You can even see a little bit of wear where it cracked the paint here, unfortunately, but very minimal. But it looks like it just took something slightly to the side, and that's where we got this hit right here that broke off the mounting point for the nut holding it in here. But this aftermarket one right here is looking like we might be in good position, so I think we might utilize this. I might just have to make a couple more modifications across the body of it to get it to fit perfect, but overall, I mean, I think this is going to be a good one for us, guys. All right, guys, so as you can see, I got a quick zip tie just holding this thing in place. If you look right here, holes lined up, side's really good. This thing's actually not too bad considering it's cheap plastic. I think it was like 25 bucks. Now this side's a bit off, although I don't think it's off due to the header panel. I think it's off due to the damage to the fender. Now, I got this close, even if you press it down. See, that hole is pretty close. We're just gonna slightly widen that up a hair and slightly widen this one right here for where the trim around the signal goes. So we just have just enough room just in case the playroom. So that's why I always want to test fit stuff prior to getting it painted or putting it on for good, because you never know, you might just have a little fitment issue, whether it be due to a product that's aftermarket that's not quite right, or the damage might throw something off, or you know, a combination of the two. So might even be that with us, but overall this thing looks pretty good. I think we got pretty good fitment here now considering the damage, and we're just going to go ahead and widen that up, and then this should be good to go on when we're ready. All right guys, so it might be hard to see with the glare there, but we got it widened up just enough that it has playroom, and I'm going to clean that hole up a hair. Actually just widened it up with a soldering gun, just melted the plastic out on both holes. Looks like we got just enough playroom there guys, so when this goes to get installed, this will fall in line. All right guys, we're just putting this front end back together for now, how it was. Really the main reason we did this was just for a test fit, but a lot of these clips were broken. I had it from the old one, I just put them on for the time being. You can see this gap's still bad. Maybe not quite as bad as it was, but you know, we got that fixed with the new one. So when the new header panel goes on, that'll be all corrected. Now, one thing we did do is there was a lot of missing screws, bolts, and things holding in this fender liner. So if you look, both of these right here, got them from the old truck. We were missing this one, got that one from the old truck, missing that one, and we were missing our mounting ones like these right here. So same thing on the other side, was missing these, got them in there. This right here actually had the wrong bolt in it, got the right one in there. So now all these fender liners are all good, they got the correct bolts in there. So when this all goes together, it should be perfect OEM and come together really cleanly. So we're just gonna go ahead, throw this old bumper and everything back together. So then when the new header panel is painted, we're gonna have a new black front bumper. We'll have the new header panel, new headlights, new grille, essentially a whole new front end. So once that header panel's done, it'll allow us to throw this front end together, guys. All right guys, if you can see, we finally got these both painted, both prepped up and primed. Just threw them in the bed of the truck here. We're gonna go ahead and get these things off the paint, get based and cleared, and we'll check back in when they're done. All right, so we're about to get into the fun stuff and making this pretty. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting and buffing this thing. Now, as you can see, she is pretty bad. Looks like we got some nail polish here for touch-up paint. Tons of scratches. Might even be hard to see some of these, but like right here into the nail polish, it's pretty bad, guys. So we're going to be cutting it down with sandpaper. I'm also going to be removing these side body moldings. They're pretty damaged, and I think it looks better without them anyway. So we're going to start with pulling them off, and we're going to go ahead and start sanding down this back driver's side bed. Alright guys, you can see we got that all cleaned up, got it off, and it looks a lot better because it's wet, but that's pretty much what it's going to look like when it's all buffed out. It should look really good. Definitely was a complete pain. Getting all that extra adhesive and stuff off was a lot of work. I used a lot of different things trying to get it off, but we got it. We're going to go ahead and move on to this one to even out the awkwardness. Then we're going to start wet sanding and getting some of these scratches out, and then we can go ahead and just get this whole panel buffed in and cleaned up. Alright guys, you can see we got both of them off. Not looking too bad. It was extreme pain to say the least, but got them off. Now we can start focusing on some of this damage here. Our nail polish touch-up paint. Start getting all this stuff off. So let's get into some wet sanding, guys. As you can see, I started sanding off some of these nail polish spots, and you know, I figured I might as well. They're already going to be, you know, the whole panel is already going to be sanded, so might as well go ahead and try it. But I'll be honest, I don't really like how they're coming out. They almost look burnt. So I was thinking to myself, what takes nail polish off? Well, acetone, duh. So I actually got a couple of them off right here. I don't know if you can see them, but I acetoned them and they came off really cleanly, way better than it did with sandpaper. So we're gonna go ahead and acetone all these off and then get back into sanding. So after some acetoning, guys, some of them came off, some of them, all these little dots really didn't. They still kind of look black like when I sanded it. That's probably what they were trying to cover up, but we're gonna go ahead and get these sanded down anyway and start sanding the panel. All right guys, after some consistent sanding, she's looking pretty good. And we still got a couple more grits we need to get into, but we're at 2,000 right now, and man, she is looking good. A lot of that scratching is out. See everything pretty clearly. And typically when you're wet sanding, what it looks like wet, because this is wet right now, that's what it's gonna look like when you buff it out. So, well, as long as you're doing everything right, but it's looking pretty good, guys. Let's go ahead and keep going. All right, so sanding is all complete. We're gonna go ahead and start buffing. This is wet, of course, so it should give us a good idea what it's gonna look like when it's done, and it looks really good. So I'm actually pretty happy with how this came out. We got a lot of stuff out. There's still gonna be minor scratching and, you know, things like these that were down to the bare metal. That right there, you know, this chip, this upper portion is actually gonna be covered up because we have a cover for those. But overall, man, she's looking good. We're gonna let her dry up and we're gonna start buffing it. All right, guys, figured I'd give you one last preview here. We're gonna start buffing and polishing, but you can see, got some of those deeper scratches, but a lot of that stuff's out. And this is, you know, almost looking the same as the rest of the truck, and it's sanded. So I can't wait to see what it's gonna look like after we buff it. So let's get into it now. Coat down. She's looking really good. All right, we're on to the other side here, guys. So as you can see, I already got these side moldings off. This one actually almost looks like it swole up the paint a hair, but once we get in some sanding and all that, it should make it almost not noticeable. So some really bad damage here. This should come out, make that look a lot better. The scratching can definitely get out and make it look a lot better. At least that should probably come out. All our nail polish. So let's go ahead, guys, and start getting this thing sanded. A little sneak preview. Passenger side is all wet sanded. Got a lot of that stuff out, but time for the fun part, and we're gonna start buffing her out. Woo! 2 steps down, guys. Time for some wash and wax, but man, oh man. A lot of that stuff's out, guys. A lot of that scratching. Told you guys this would clean up well, and it did. Came out really good, guys. All right, guys, another day out here. We're going to be buffing the truck. As you know, we got the bed done. This has been quite a few days since it's been done. It's a little dirty, been rained on a couple times, but it's holding her shine. So we're gonna go ahead and move to the cab today. We're gonna get these ugly moldings off the cab, hopefully both sides, buff in the cab, the roof, and we'll save the hood and fenders for last. But let's go ahead and start getting these moldings off. All right, so we started with the driver's side here. She's pretty torn up from me getting it off, but it took me about 3 hours, actually a little bit longer than that, to get all this molding off. So, and adhesive, really, it's the adhesive. The moldings come right off. The adhesive is the problem, but we're ready to start wet sanding, cutting this up, getting all these markings out. You can see some of these, but should be able to get a lot of this out. I'm really looking forward to this right here. Almost looks like a black overlay on the clear from just all the handprints and dirtiness of people touching it over the years. Nice scratch here. And also, we have these drops that won't go away. I don't know if you can see them, but they don't wash off. So let's see if we can get all this out now, guys. All right, guys, so we got the driver's side completed, completely wet sanded. Didn't get to the passenger, although we got the roof cut. So got the whole roof cut, whole side up to the fender here. As you know, we already did the bed, so you can kind of see the difference between the two. Crazy thing is the fender almost looks wet sanded. It's not, but there we are, guys. She's all cut up. Most of that scratching is gone. The only thing that's really left is those acid raindrops or whatever they are from some type of chemical, but hopefully when we start polishing, it'll come right out. All right, guys, it took me all day. As you can see, there is no sun left, but we got the whole cab buffed, polished, along with the bed. It's hard to tell, but that fender is way dry compared to the rest of it, but she is shining. So you can get some of that in there. All that scratching's gone. No marks where our moldings were. She looks like ice, guys. All right, so we're on to our last two moldings here on the passenger side. Of course, we gotta buff this in, cut it up, and we're gonna also have to do the fenders and the hood, which will be the only thing left. But let's go ahead and have some fun and get these moldings off. All right, so you can see we got these moldings off. Now we're gonna have the pleasure of getting all this old adhesive off. If we're looking at the door, it does have some damage we're gonna have to get out here. Nice gash here, that's not going away. And it does have those acid raindrops or whatever these drips are. Actually more prominent on this side than the other. And they all ate through the clear, just like the other side, so they're still going to be visible, although we might make them look a little bit cleaner. But overall, some scratching, nothing too crazy, but we're going to start with removing this adhesive and then we'll start sanding the thing down. All right, guys, she's all wet sanded. Got most of that stuff out. Of course, that gash we talked about still there, and the acid rain or whatever is still lightly visible, but overall, I mean, she's looking pretty good. Got a lot of the scratching out, and I think we're pretty good on this cutting. Should come in really nice, match the bed, and then really all we got left is the two fenders and the hood. So after this, we should have the whole truck buffed except for the front clip. So let's go ahead and start buffing. right, guys, she's finished being buffed and polished. She don't look too bad. My biggest beef is these acid raindrops. I don't know if you can see them, but they've completely penetrated the clear. It's like pits almost. It created a pitting, but yeah, man, she is looking clean. The body is coming along. We just got to do the front clip now, touch her up a hair, and then we can throw the new grill, headlights, bumpers on, and this thing is going to start coming together, guys. So there she is. All right, guys, finally on to the front clip of the Red Range here. So we're looking to get the hood and the two fenders done today. So the goal is to make it even with the rest of the truck. Now I am going to debadge this temporarily just to get this buffed and cleaned up underneath. So we're going to remove the Ranger XLT signs on both sides of the truck. So these emblems are going to come right off, and then we're going to go ahead and proceed to cut and buff and get this scaled in with the rest of the truck, guys. So should be a fun day to finally get the exterior paint almost to where it needs to be. Alright, so we got all that adhesive off for the most part on this side. So now we can go ahead and start getting this rubbed off, start cutting everything down, and we can start making this side look pretty. So let's get into it now, guys. Alright, so we got this thing mostly cleaned up here. No more adhesive, anything left over where our Ranger badge was. Got this all cleaned up, so time for some sanding. Everything's washed, clean. Same thing on this side, ready to go. So our front clip is officially ready for wet sanding and buffing. So we're gonna go ahead and start cutting into this thing, and hopefully we can get this whole front clip to match the rest of the truck and get it all cut in evenly and pretty. So let's go ahead and get into it, guys. All right, guys, we're done wet sanding here. So let's see, cut in pretty good. See some light scratching, of course, but we're gonna get that out with the buffer, and it should match the rest of the truck. So not looking too bad. Got most of the crap out of here. Looking forward to the final result. So finally got the header panel here back from paint. Still waiting on the tailgate, which should be here today, but since we have this header panel, it'll allow us to go ahead and complete the front end. So we're gonna go ahead and dissect this front end again. As you know, we did test fit that header panel before we went to paint. So what we're going to do today is get the black grille, new headlights, black bumper, new header panel, everything on. So let's go ahead and start tearing this thing back apart so we can make her look pretty, guys. Guys, we got this header panel pretty free. Got everything out of it bolt wise, so now we're just going to remove the bumper. That way we can just easily pull the header panel out. So let's go ahead and get these 18 mils off of this bumper and get this bumper off. Alright, so let's get this thing on out of here. Should be pretty much free. Alright, got that side. It's not the easiest thing to do one-handed here, but you know, gotta do it for the tube, right? Alright. There it is, guys. Move this bad boy on over here. We're going to put new headlights into the new header panel, but there we have it, guys. We got this whole front end exposed, and now we can start building up the new front end. Alright guys, got it roughly in here. Looking pretty blingish. Not too shabby. Looking pretty good, so pretty much we're just gonna start piecing this thing together. We gotta get the tabs off of the old one onto this one. We also have to get all the bolts in, get the headlights in, so we got some stuff to move over and, you know, get this finished up and buttoned up, but we're gonna go ahead, keep moving and get this header paddle done, guys. Alright guys, we got our fresh headlights in there. These are just OEM original Ford headlights that I restored. One's from the junkyard, one is from the old Blue Range. Not looking too shabby, guys. Coming together. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the trim on for the grill, get the grill in, and then from there we can go ahead and put our side markers in, and then the whole header panel should be together and we can move on to the bumper. Alright, so we're getting this bumper disassembled, ready to go on, since we got our headlights, header panel, grill pretty much situated, so ready for our new black bumper. So we're getting these mounts off. We already got the mounts to the frame off. We're getting the mounts to the bumper off, so we're gonna go ahead and torch these couple bolts to ease them off, and then we do have to take this lower lip and plastic balance off. So pretty much we'll go ahead and get these bolts out, get this lip and balance off, and then we can go ahead and put all this onto the new bumper, and then we can go ahead and mount it up. So let's get this stuff out now, guys. Here it is, guys. Bracket is off. Alright, so what we're doing now is getting this lower plastic balance off of this bumper so we can utilize it for the new one. Alright, so we're ready to start assembling this bumper. Now, I'm more efficient than I realized, because I've ordered this bumper and all this stuff a while ago, at least a month or two ago, and I forgot I ordered this lower one. So I ordered a lower balance. We still needed to take it off to get the bolts and everything off of it, but I'm out here cleaning up the old one and I got a fresh one sitting right with the new bumper. So here's the new bumper, guys. See that fresh black, beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and start, put that balance on this, and then we can go ahead and start assembling the brackets. All right, so we got a bunch of new hardware. I do have new bumper brackets, which we will be using as well. Typically what I usually do is I'll put it on and then I'll loosely put the bolts on both spots, so that way you have playroom, whether it be on here or on the side. So let's go ahead, we're going to get these aftermarket brackets on, and then from there we can go ahead and put the bumper on. Alright guys, we got both of those brackets finger tighted on there, so we're ready to go ahead and put the bumper on the truck. So let's go ahead and see if we can get this thing aligned up now. There it is, guys. Got that front end on. Not looking too shabby at all. Coming together, so I'm just gonna have to wash it. I do gotta get the rear bumper on still because we got the black rear bumper, so other than that, pretty much good, guys. All right, so we almost got this exterior buttoned up. That rear bumper on there. Just got rained on, unfortunately. As soon as it got put together, I washed it and it got rained on, but you know, why wouldn't it? But she's looking good. She needs a little bit more cleaning up. Another touch up, but man, overall, came out really good. It's really clean. And I'm pretty happy with it, guys, so. All right, so here she is in all of her glory. Exterior's not too bad. It's definitely gonna need some more wax. It's been washed like 100 times since I buffed it, but she's not looking too bad. We're gonna do one more final walk around with everything cleaned up, but got the new tailgate on. I mean, overall, from where she came from, it's looking pretty good. That's how you do it. Here she is. The exterior is pretty much a wrap, guys. She needs a little bit more love. Probably gonna wax it, give it a little bit more buffage, but overall, I mean, from where we started, so much has changed. I don't even know if you guys noticed, but it only had a vent deflector on the passenger side, so we got new vent deflectors for both sides. It's got the bed trim, hide all that nasty stuff. Bed liner from the old truck. New tailgate. It's got the liner on the tailgate. 2000 tail lights. This is actually the bumper from the truck from when we got it. It's just not chrome anymore. It's been painted flat black to match the front of the truck. And as you know, she's been buffed. New front bumper, new valance for the front bumper, bug deflector, new grille, new trims, headlights from the old truck, polished OEM Ford headlights. Overall, guys, she has come a long way. And in my opinion, she looks pretty clean and pretty good. Definitely got her nice and clean. That's definitely one of the best additions to the truck. But overall, guys, she has come a really long way, and I'm pretty happy with how this exterior turned out.